in my tier 4, I named this the average guys who can get red hot. So average to slightly above average who can get red hot. 17, I have Tua. Yeah, when Tua's on, dude's on fire. Like we see what the Dolphins offense can do. You're right though. Oftentimes it is against lesser competition. 16, I have Brock Purdy, who let me see. Oh, wow, he's much higher on your list. Wow, more to come on Brock Purdy for Ziggy. I have 16 Brock Purdy. I like Brock a lot. I have nothing against him. I'm not gonna harp on him like some people do for saying that the 49ers offense is completely loaded around him. That's why I think Brock Purdy's really, really good. Just these other guys, I think, are a little more talented. 15, Kyler Murray. Kyler, to me, you had him at 14 here. I don't think people are respecting him enough heading into this season. When he came back, that Cardinals team was absolutely horrible, and he made them somewhat relevant. I mean, I remember they went into Philly, played really good there, even though Philly was falling apart. I thought Kyler Murray completely changed the vibe of the Cardinals season once he returned. 14, Jared Goff. I mean, at this point, Jared Goff is playing like a guy. Like when he's on, he can get into that top 7 range. And he's been on for about a year and a half now. So he's second in the NFL, 450 or 4,600 yards last year. And then 13, I have Kirk. And I know some people are going to say I'm being biased. Probably am to a degree, but I thought Kirk Cousins was playing arguably top 5 quarterback football at the end of last season or in the middle of last season when he got hurt. He was just awesome against the 49ers and the Packers, 2 playoff teams, 2 divisional round teams. And the Vikings won those games. They were coming on before that injury, that Achilles injury. So that's what I got. The average guys who can get red hot: 17 Tua, 16 Brock, 15 Kyler, 14 Jared Goff, and 13 Kirk Cousins. Do you have a problem with any of those dudes?
We will get into this more, I think, as we go to the next level. But my biggest issue is I think you have both Goff and Purdy far too low. And the reason for that is this. This is something you hear quite a bit, that these guys are decent quarterbacks, but they're in a system that makes things easier for them, and all they sort of do is produce. But you can put a lot of guys into that situation and they would produce. I have a hard time trusting my ability to assess talent outside of production. And when people talk about how loaded the 49ers offense is, for instance, they don't seem to pay attention to the fact that Brock Purdy is producing way better than Jimmy G, and leagues better than anybody else they've thrown in that system. We haven't seen other guys step in for the Lions a whole lot, but Jared Goff is producing at one of the highest levels in the NFL. And it's very difficult for me to see guys consistently produce. Goff, besides his last year in Los Angeles, since he's gone to Detroit, he's produced at an elite level. Brock Purdy, since he started, has produced at an elite level. Look at that and say, okay, average quarterback. There's a bunch of guys ahead of him.
It's also a stupid argument. It's straight up. It's really ignorant to just say that the 49ers are loaded and that's why Brock Purdy's good. You go down this list of all the good quarterbacks. I mean, Joe Burrow's thrown to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and Joe Mixon has had some really good years. I mean, the Packers fans want to talk about how great their four receivers are. Like most good quarterbacks have really good supporting rosters. I understand that McCaffrey's probably the best in his position, but Debo and Ayuk are both great playmakers. Debo more specifically, but like why are we not making that argument for other guys? It makes no sense to me when Purdy, highest QBR in football, all the ratings metrics, Purdy's number one in. And he's coming off Tommy John surgery, and he threw for 31 touchdowns. He was 5th in passing yards. Like Brock Purdy needs respect. I know I'm saying that as someone who has him as 16th in the league, but I think a lot of people would have him lower. So I understand where you're coming from. I'm excited to see the reveal for Purdy. I'm not sure where he is on your list, but I know he's going to be a lot higher. So how about your tier 3? Me and you both have pretty big tier 3s here.
Yeah, this tier 3, I call it will win you games. This tier gets big because it's guys who you can...
What kind of name is that?
Well, I'll tell you what it is, right? The standard I have for an NFL quarterback is, here's what makes an NFL quarterback good. Are they the sort of person who will just win you games on their own? And how consistently can they do that? At my tier 5, the guys probably aren't going to do that. Tier 4, there's a chance they'll get hot during the season, but often they won't. Tier 3 is guys who you can count on during the season for a stretch, maybe even a long stretch. They will get hot and win you some games on their own. Again, not a lot of guys in the NFL can do that. This is the start of guys who can do that, and will do that, I think, on an annual basis. So it's big. We'll go through it. We'll talk a lot here. 12, Matthew Stafford. 11, Jordan Love. 10, CJ Stroud. 9, Jared Goff. 8, Trevor Lawrence. 7, Brock Purdy. 6, Joe Burrow. And 5, Lamar Jackson.
Okay, so this gets into your top 5 here.
Yeah, this is a huge tier for me. There's 7 guys here. I think this is when you're breaking down quarterbacks who are decent. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of guys in.
So I do want to ask you now, you had 9 Jared Goff and 7 Brock Purdy. So you're telling me that if we're going into the 2024 season, I say, Ziggy, you take a guy to get you to the promised land. You're taking both of them over Stafford, Love, and Stroud. Like 3 guys.
Yeah.
I think those 3 guys are all much more capable of taking over games. Like the potential of Stroud and Love to me is top 5 right there. Goff and Purdy, I think, are very, very good, but they are more game managers while the other guys can take over. And like, why? I don't understand that ranking.
I mean, when you talk about taking over, to me, it seems like taking over is throwing for a lot of yards, scoring a lot of touchdowns, and not turning the ball over. And when you look at what do Jared Goff and Brock Purdy do at an elite level, right? One of the best in the league. They throw for a lot of yards, they score a lot of touchdowns, and they don't turn the ball over. Right? It's like there's an emphasis, and I understand why. When someone like Lamar Jackson takes off, it's flashy, it's exciting, and that's a real skill set. He can take over games doing that. But if you're able to get 8 or 9 yards a pass, every pass for a drive, guess what you're going to do? You're going to score a touchdown. It doesn't matter how you get there. So I value elite production. And indeed, right, you can say, well, they don't show some of the same things. They don't have all the physical tools. There's questions about them. Yeah, sure, whatever. But when you consistently produce at an elite level, Jared Goff has only really had 1 year in his career where he didn't produce at an elite level. Maybe 2. The first
year.
I
like Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff's awesome. I would definitely sign up for him this season with the Vikings. I find 9 a little bit high ahead of Stroud and Love and Stafford, especially with this list being who you would want for the 2024 season if they stay healthy. Yeah. I guess
Stafford is old, and Love and Stroud haven't done it nearly as long.
And look, to be fair to you, Goff has been for a year and a half really, really good. Elite. Jared Goff has been elite for a year and a half. So I get where
I'll tell you what's going to happen. We're going to have Lions fans coming in here complaining I put him at 9.
I think Lions fans will be very accepting of the number 9 ranking.
Absolutely not. They'll be annoyed he's not top 5.